First of all, I just want to say thanks for everybody. Happy Mother's Day, all. And I may just be a little bit biased, but I have 3 best kids in the world.
I know that.
And I'm glad that God chose me to be your mom. But right now, we are going to go ahead and get into this because, according to my mother, I can't be up here very long. We have things to do this afternoon. So, if everybody will turn to Proverbs 24:30, we are going to do a little picture. There is, this proverb has painted us a picture here. And it says, I went past the field of a sluggard, past the vineyard of the man who lacks judgment. Thorns had come up everywhere, the ground was covered with weeds, and the stone wall was in ruins. I applied my heart to what I had observed and learned a lesson from what I had saw. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands. Rest and poverty will come unto you like a bandit, and scarcity like an armed man. The picture was painted for us in Proverbs as plainly a picture that is not fully in their zone. They're not here. They weren't present in the gift that God had gave them. So my question to you today is, are you here? Are you fully invested in your marriage? Are you fully invested in your children? Are you fully invested in your neighborhood? Are you fully invested in your community, your church? Are you owning your zone? And I forgot my hula hoop. But if you'll picture a hula hoop and a sphere around you, your church, your marriage, your family, your children, your neighbor who's down the road that's battling cancer, your workplace who has unsaved people, your Aunt Sally who has yet to come to Christ is in your zone. Are you asleep or are you owning your zone? Are you saying that I am going to take control of this zone? I'm going to own it because God has given me this zone and this time, and this is it. I looked up the word thorns, and thorns is a sharp on plant, especially a sharp pointed object, branch, spine, or prickle. Weeds are a valueless plant growing wild, especially one that grows on cultivated ground to the exclusion or injury of the desired crop. Now that kind of hurts. Because our desired crop is to have a church full of people. Our desired crop is to have our children love God. Our desired crop is to have a marriage that we are fully invested in. Our desired crop is to be able to speak life where life is not present. That is our desired crop. But yet we are trading in our shoes of zeal, and we're trading in our jacket of passion for slippers of sleep and slippers and a blanket of slumber. We've let the devil slip in and say, oh, just take those shoes off, it's okay, the pastor can handle it. It's all right, you don't have to be there. It's all right, just lay back, relax in this recliner, put your blanket on. It's okay, somebody else will do it for you. You're not needed down there at that church, there's no place for you, there's nothing to do. Just sleep right here in this recliner, and it'll be all right. But I want us to look at a young lady, and by all accounts, Esther was probably about 15 or 17, they say. And Esther was given a zone, and she began to fall asleep. So if we will look at Esther 2 and 7. It says, Mordecai had a cousin named Hadadiah, whom he had brought up because she had neither a father nor a mother. She was an orphan. This girl who was also known as Esther, was lovely in form and feature, and Mordecai had taken her in as his own daughter when her mother and father had died. Now, I'll just stop right there and give you a kind of an overview. I'm just going to give you the Nissa version. All of a sudden, the king has declared, and he's wanting all the young virgin maidens they told them they need them at the palace. So, they come and get Esther. Now, in the Bible, it tells us that she's taken to a harem, and she finds favor there. She finds favor in who she's been put with. And so, he signs her up and puts her in a 12-month beauty program. I'd be like, here I am. 12 months massages. Oh, massage my feet. You don't got to do nothing. You just lay around. You wait for the next massage. Somebody's massaging your head. Sign me up. 12 months. 12 months. But it says that Esther found favor. Esther was summoned, and she was brought before the king. She found favor with the king. Now, in 15, it says, when the turn came for Esther, the girl Mordecai had adopted, the daughter of his uncle. She's already forgotten. It's reminding us, falling asleep. She's had 12 months. Actually, at this point, she's had 10 months of treatment. She's done gone. She done signed up for that massage at 1 o'clock. She hopes this hurries up and gets somewhere. But the king found favor in her. And 17 says, now the king was attracted to Esther more than any of the other women, and who she won his favor and approval more than any of the other virgins. So he set a royal crown on her head and made her king instead of whoever's name that is. They really needed a book of names for babies back then. Because, yeah. And the king gave a great banquet, Esther's banquet. Not just anybody's banquet, not just whoever's banquet, but he gave Esther a banquet. Okay? For all his nobles and officials, he proclaimed a holiday. Who doesn't want a holiday? I think my birthday is my holiday, but, you know. Throughout the province and distributed gifts and royal liberty. Okay. Early in the story, God had sent Esther a message. He was like, hey, I didn't bring you to this place to go sleep. I brought you here for a purpose. I didn't plan for you to be a harem, and if you will wake up and own your zone, do what I called you to do, then I will move you from being a harem to a queen. But Esther had to wake up. Esther had to own her zone. Because God placed you here to move and make a difference and sow a seed in your family, your church, your community. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter whether you think you're good enough or not. It is time. Don't fall asleep in your such a time as this moment.
Right.
It's your time to own the zone.
No, I can't.
Because Esther had fallen asleep. Mordecai had learned of the Jews going to be killed by, and so Mordecai had sent her a message. Or they had come and he was like, hey, you know, you need to go before the king and you need to do this. And she was like, oh, yeah. Here's some clothes, Uncle. Really? Seriously. Get out of the ash and the sackcloth. I mean, here's clothes. It's okay. You're embarrassing me. And he sent a message back in... Mordecai told him in 4 and 7. The media guys are going to kill me. 4 and 7. Mordecai told him everything that happened to him, including the extract of money Haman had promised to pay to the royal treasurer for the destruction of the Jews. He also gave him a copy of the text. Isn't that cool? He gave him a copy of the text. They had it back then, and we didn't even know it. And which had published, and so let's skip down. They begged, yes, and he told him to urge her into the king's presence to beg for mercy and plead with her for her people. Now, at this time, we had forgotten to tell you, at this time, Mordecai told her, don't tell them who you are. Not at this time. Don't tell them who you are. Now he's telling her, okay, you need to beg for your people. You need to wake up. You need to beg for your people. We are all fixing to perish if you do not wake up and own your zone. Well, she sent back Mordecai a message and she said, listen, she said, I can't go. I've not been summoned by the king. I can't do that. Everybody who goes before the king and is not summoned before the king dies. Are you kidding me? I can't do that. And he sends back a message and he says, you have to go. You don't have a choice. So she sends him back a message and she wakes up. I have to believe somewhere in all of that, Esther got along with God.
Yes.
I have to believe somewhere in that she was like, okay, I have got, God, what are you wanting out of me? Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? I'm going to die. And I have to believe that when Esther walked out of that prayer closet, she was like, okay, I'm awake. Yep. I am fully here. I am fully invested. I am going to own my zone, and if it kills me, it kills me. I'm going to own my zone. And I'm going to go before the king, and if I perish, I perish. And so we know the story. Esther goes before the king. She doesn't perish. And she woke up. She owned her zone. But now I want to look in the Bible where a woman was fully awake. And she was fully owning her zone. And it is in 2 Samuel 20 and 14. I'll give you a little version. Right now we've got a bad guy on the run. And he's running from King David. David is like, okay, guys, this guy named Sheba is out to get me. And I want all the best men, and I want him chasing. I want him dead. I want him gone. So Sheba passed through the tribes of Israel to Abel-Beth-Maachah, and through the entire regions of Bertrich, who gathered together and followed him. All the troops with Joab came and besieged Sheba in Abel. They built a siege ramp up to the city, and it stood against the outer fortifications. While they were battering the wall to bring it down, a wise woman called from the city, listen! I love it. She knows. I mean, it's like a woman. I mean, it's a woman. It had to be late at night. She was probably up walking the walls, and she was probably praying, God, you see my nephew who's away from God, that's away from you. Jesus, I need you to help my marriage. Jesus, I need you to help my family. God, you see my neighbor who is dying. You comfort. You bring healing. You bring peace. And she is probably just walking this wall. And then all of a sudden, it starts crumbling. And she's like, oh, I don't think so. Not on my watch. She's going, listen, she says, listen, tell Joab to come here. Now she loves the little, I would just love to see the little guy that was on the ladder that was speeding down the rock, and she was like, oh, you tell Joab to get here. And he's like, do I want to mess with her, or do I want to mess with Joab? Nah, I think I'll take Joab. So off the ladder he goes, and gets Joab, and she says, are you Joab? And he says, I am. She says, listen to what your servant has to say. I mean, she done backed him up against that wall. And she's like, look, dude, this is my zone, and you ain't tearing down no wall.
Come on.
This is my city, she's saying. She continues, long ago. I love it, because he's probably sitting there thinking, oh, God, not long ago. Can we just check? Let's just get to the chase, lady. Let's give a short version and not the chick version, okay? Long ago, they used to say, get your answer at Abel, and that settled it. We are the peaceful and the faithful in Israel. You are trying to destroy a city that is a mother in Israel. Why do you want to swallow up the Lord's inheritance? Okay, she just hit him. And he's like, okay, far be it from me, Joab replied. Far be it from me to swallow up or destroy. That is not the case. A man named Sheba from the hills of Ephraim has lifted up his hand against David. Hand over this man, and I will withdraw the city. I love this. The woman said to Joab, his head will be thrown to you from the wall. Now get up. I got this. I'm done. No problem. Then it says, then the woman went to all of the people with her wise advice. Can you imagine? Clang on the door. Hey, we got a problem. It's time to get go. Stop your sleeping time. We got some dude in this area and in this zone. And you know what that's called to you? That's called to prayer warriors.
Yeah.
That's when you call the phone and say, look, somebody's in my zone. Somebody's messing with my zone. Somebody's messing with my marriage. Somebody's messing with my kids. Somebody's messing with my aunt. Somebody's messing with my neighbor. And I need your help. That's what that is called. And she threw it, oh well. Then the woman went to all of the people with wise advice, and they cut off the head of Sheba and threw it over to Joab. So he sounded the trumpet, and his men dispersed from the city, each returning, and they went home for dinner. Done. Simple. Over. She owned her zone. She was fully awake, fully present, and fully equipped to own her zone in that moment and in that time. We as a church, we as a community, we need to remember that we are named by God. And if the musicians want to come back. That in their zone, God gave them the authority to move those mountains.
Yes.
Authority to speak life to someone.
Yes,
Honey, you are buying a load of cow tutu at a very expensive price when you believe you are not enough to own your zone.
That's right.
You're buying that at the price of your family. You're buying that at the price of your children. You're buying that at the price of your neighbor dying of cancer now, not knowing God. You are buying that. And trust me, it has took me a very long time to come to the conclusion that I'm good enough to own my zone.
Right. Right.
Because your zone can change history. Let me tell you a few about people. Noah. He was building an ark. Seriously? They didn't even know what rain was. And he was building an ark. Moses, with just a stick, was standing there at a sea with the enemy pressing down on his back. Sarah. Seriously, has anybody seen a 99-year-old in the middle of a maternity ward? David facing a giant. Esther in the king's court. Caleb was 85. The wise men looking for a star. Peter stepping out of a boat. The woman with the issue of blood. The little boy with the little bit of fish and bread. Mary, the unwedded teenager. And Jesus, carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. We, as people today, need to step up. We need to stop sleeping and slumbering in our zone. Because Noah did save his family from the flood. Moses did part the Red Sea. Sarah gave birth to Isaac. David defeated Goliath. Esther stopped the killing of the Jews. Caleb was given Hebron. The wise men did find the Messiah. Peter did walk on the water. The woman with the issue was healed. The little boy fed the 5,000. Mary was given birth to the Messiah. And Jesus gave it all at the cross. He conquered hell. He conquered death. He conquered it all. And the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead lives in you and lives in your zone if you are fully and completely and totally awake in your zone.
Amen.
I just hope and pray that you have the courage to wake up and own your zone, because nobody else will. It's not my zone to own. I don't own your marriage. I don't own your kids. I don't own your neighborhood. I don't own your community. I don't own your church. This church is yours.
Yes, yes, yes.
I don't own your zone. You have to step up and own your zone. Not me. I can't pray you into your zone. I can't pray you to own your zone. You have to want it. You want to change in your kids? Own your zone. You want to change in your marriage? Own your zone. You want to see Aunt Sally saved? Own your zone.
Yes.
You want to see your nephew off drugs? Own your zone. Because that's what it's going to take to change our history.
That's right. Amen.
And if you'll just bow your heads real quick.
That's good.
God, please let us wake up. Please let us know. Let us use your word in the Bible as a weed killer in our lives. God, give us the strength we need to own our zone. God, I thank you for all you have given us and all that you are wanting to give us in our zone. I thank you for our children on this great day, and please let this great women see their zone. Let this sleep fall from us and wake to ownership of what all you have given us. And we thank you